Hey everybody, welcome back. My name is Abby. I'm with Fitness is Medicine. Today I'm going to teach you a few simple moves you can do to start strengthening your low back and your core. Your low back and your core are synonymous. All of this area here is considered your core, and strengthening all of it will help you stay strong to do all of those activities that we need to do throughout our day. Okay, so we're going to start on the floor. So if you're able to get up and down off the floor, this is great. Otherwise, you can use your bed. Probably not a sofa because it's not quite as firm, but a bed can work great for this. So we're going to start with your knees bent and your feet flat on the floor. I want to start with the TA squeeze. So your transverse abdominis is your very low muscles across your abdomen. And what that looks like is a posterior pelvic tilt to flatten your back to the floor. So just a little small movement. And I want you to breathe while you're holding this. So we're going to hold them for 5 seconds. If you're having a hard time kind of feeling that, just put your hand under your back and think that you want to flatten your hand. So you want to flatten that space so you can't get your hands into your low back. We're going to do 10 of these. That was 4. Breathing as you hold it. When you're holding exercises, it can be a tendency to hold your breath, so make sure you're breathing through it. This movement right here is a good starting point for a lot of more advanced exercises, so getting this one down is really important. Getting that TA squeeze, your posterior pelvic tilt, flattening your back, holding. Let's do 2 more. Should really start to feel that across your abdomen now, your low abs. Let's do 1 more. Okay, now we're gonna do leg lifts. So before you start, I want to start with that posterior pelvic tilt. I want you to hold that throughout. So we're gonna lift and lower one leg, only lifting it as high as your other knee, and then not quite touching it down at the bottom. So your core is engaged throughout this because you're trying to hold that posterior pelvic tilt throughout. And it may feel tired since we just did that for a long time. Breathing nice and slow with these. Remember that limited range of motion here. And switch. Remember, we're holding that posterior pelvic tilt. It should be a little easier because you've got that one knee bent, and so that helps already initiate that posterior tilt of your pelvis. When you go down, try not to let your back arch up again. 2 more, and 10, good. Okay, next, we're gonna start where we're gonna do bridges. So the same starting point, I want you to think about flattening your back, squeeze your glutes, lift your hips, and again, we're gonna hold this for about 5 seconds, pushing through your heels. Now, if you're feeling this in your hamstrings, posterior pelvic tilt, squeeze your glutes, lift your hips. If you're feeling this in your hamstrings, I want you to think about sliding your feet forward in your shoes, and that will help release your hamstrings so we're working your glutes. And release. Each time, go through that. Flatten your back, squeeze your glutes, lift. Remember, push your feet like you're sliding them forward in your shoes if your hamstrings are starting to cramp. If you do get a hamstring cramp when you start this, lift it up, straighten it out until it releases, and then continue. But really try that little tip of sliding your feet forward in your shoes. All right, let's do 5 more. Flatten, squeeze, lift. Breathing as you hold. Now this is a lift, but not as high as you can possibly go. So flatten, squeeze, lift, but you're not trying to drive your hips up as high as possible. You're just lifting up, squeezing those glutes. Breathing as you hold. You can breathe out as you hold it, or you can just continue to breathe normally. Let's do 2 more. Remember, sliding those feet forward if you're feeling it in those hamstrings. And always you can stop and stretch it out if you are getting a cramp. One more. Okay. Next, we're going to do a double knee lift. So what that looks like is you're going to lift your knees towards your nose and then slowly bring them back down like you're gonna set them back down, but don't. Now, holding, so when you come up, your posterior pelvic tilt happens. Now try to hold it as you drop your feet. Try not to touch them to the ground if you can. This is a big core exercise. Really working on maintaining that flat back as you drop your knees. Breathe. Seven. Keep that back flat. 9. And 10. Okay. Now this one should feel good. I'm just gonna have you drop your knees side to side, kind of a little stretch out, but it also gets a little rotation through your spine. Nice and slowly. All right, and rest. Now I'm gonna show you how to stretch through your hip and maybe a little bit through your IT band. Your IT band runs all the way from the top of your hip down through your tibia. So bringing one leg over like this, we'll stretch all the way through that low back and hip. If this is too much, you can bend your knee and kind of rotate over. You can try it both ways. It's a good stretch both ways. Gets a little bit different muscles. And then switch sides. Bring that leg over, and then try to think about twisting that shoulder back towards that side of the room. So you're getting a really good stretch all the way down through that hip. Again, you can also try it with your knee bent. Instead, it stretches a little bit differently. With these stretches, try to hold them about 30 seconds. Okay. Now we're gonna stand up. So if you are on your bed, just swing your legs over the side and stand up slowly since we've been lying down for a while. If you're on the floor, remember to practice a good floor to stand. So roll over onto your hands and knees. 1 foot forward, bring your weight back over your hips, and then stand up. Okay. Okay, next I wanted to do some standing side reaches. I wanted to do these near the bar because a good place to do them would be like your kitchen sink. So I'm gonna turn around and do them. What I would like you to do is stand with your feet nice and wide, and I want you to reach as far as you can on one side of your kitchen counter and then as far as you can on the other. So just kind of reaching and touching, getting some good thoracic rotation. So bending your knees and hips, getting some good twisting through your spine, through your core, reaching nice and slowly. This should feel good, but it's also a really good strengthener for those rotational movements. Again, nice and good breath. Breath control. Your knees and your hips are bent. With these, I want you to think about keeping your tummy nice and tight. So with that, thinking about that TA squeeze that we did in the beginning, thinking about keeping that nice and tight. Okay, next. When you are doing things throughout your day, think about stacking. So your head is stacked over your shoulders are stacked over your hips, hips over your knees. So it could be that you might have a little bit of posture like this, or you're really trying hard to stand straight, so you bring your shoulders back, just stacked straight on, tummy tight. So the more stacked you are, and the more you engage your core, the more you are engaging more muscles and you're helping your back. So the next thing I want to do is some side stepping. So getting some lateral movement. We do everything forward throughout our day, maybe computer, gardening, phone, just getting some side stepping. So you can just go, maybe 4 or 5 at a time. Just lateral movement. It's good to incorporate lateral movement every day. It helps with hip stabilizing and knee stabilizing, ankles, and of course your back and core. If you have a band and want to try putting it around your ankles as you progress, that's a great way to work your glutes even more. All of this is your core. So not just here, but your low back, your tummy muscles, your hips, your glutes, all of this is considered your core. So strengthening all of it is really important. Okay, next we're going to do a hamstring stretch. So I have my chair here. If you sit on a firm kitchen chair and sit up really tall and just tip at the hips. And so you should feel that down the back of your thigh. Lots of tightness, lots of low back kind of tightness can come from tight hamstrings. Breathing. And then we're going to switch. So the key here is sitting really tall and then just tipping at the hips. So it can be tempting to kind of want to sit like this, but sitting tall, keeping everything taut in its anatomical position as you lean forward will really stretch those hamstrings effectively. Now you can either pull up on your toes or just kind of let them relax. And the more you relax them, the more you're getting your hamstrings versus your calf muscles. So if you have your foot up really tall, you're also going to be stretching your calves, and it may be difficult to get that hamstring. So if you release that foot that's tightening your calf, you can effectively get to your hamstring a little bit more easily. Okay, and then we're going to do a quad stretch. So the front of your quad. First, actually, I'm going to do a figure 4 stretch. So if you can get your foot up like this, and again, sitting tall, gently tipping at the hips, feeling that back through the back of your hip. Breathing, again, keep that posture as you tip forward, and you may not be able to tip forward, that's okay. Working on that figure 4 stretch, stretching through those hips. And we're gonna switch, so bring your other foot up, sit nice and tall, just gently tip forward. Like I said, you should be feeling that through the back of your hip. It's a really good stretch for those hips. Okay, and then one more, we're gonna do a quad stretch. So the big muscles in the front of your legs. The best way to do this is to maybe use a kitchen chair. If you have a hard time like grabbing your foot like this for a quad stretch, one thing you can do is use a chair or even a stool if you have limited flexibility. The key to this is to get it up quickly so you don't get a hamstring cramp. So you want to get it up, push your foot into the chair. And what that does is it releases your hamstrings, they're not engaged, and then you can relax, stand tall, and get a good stretch through the front of your leg, your quadriceps. Now if you need a little more, you can either grab your shoe or grab your foot, ankle, or you can also use a stretch strap or like a belt or a long towel or something. And before you go up, one thing you could do is holding it like this. So there's a lot of different ways to achieve a good quad stretch, but the most important thing is releasing your hamstrings so you don't end up with a cramp there. So putting it up quickly, push into that chair with your toe. First, if you have your toe flat, that'll be a little bit less of a stretch. If you put your toe up like this, it's a little bit more. All right, let's switch sides. Remember, put it up quickly. If you want to keep your knees in line with these quad stretches, stand up tall. Really get a good full length stretch of the front of your leg. If you need to, you can get a little bit more. Everybody has their varying levels of flexibility, so find what works for you where you're getting a good stretch without pain. Okay, that's it. Go through these. I would try once a day, maybe once every other day, but I would start with, start on the ground or start on your bed with those good low abdominal exercises. Follow through them. It should only take you about 10 minutes or so, and this should help with those initial strengthening. Let me know if you have any questions. Have a great workout. Thanks, everybody.